Krista Norris here, and it's time for this week's Sunday Sermon. I'm coming to you live, or sort of live whenever you see this, from England, where I am staying once again with friends. I was going to record a Sunday sermon earlier today, and you would have gotten a guest appearance of my friend's youngest son, Charlie, who's an absolute sweetie pie. Maybe he'll show up in the Hot Tip Tuesday this week. We'll see. I have quite a few things going on, and part of what I want to share with you is something that's happening for all of us, and it has to do with the Earth's energies and what we as a planet and as a collective consciousness, because obviously as we are living on this earth and a part of this world together, whatever she goes through on a planetary basis, her energies, her shifting energies, we all take that on at a certain level, unconsciously, usually, subconsciously, but essentially her energy is shifting quite a bit, and it's continuing to, we're going through a really big energetic surge and shift right now. And what that means is that we, as being a part of, once again, living here on this earth, and as she goes through her shift in energy, she's sending her energies out, and we are taking that in on a physical as well as energetic level. And literally, it's shifting and changing our DNA, shifting and changing our specific energies. So what I mean by that are, do you consider yourself a high frequency person? Are you maybe a little bit more of a glass half empty person? All of those things are shifting for each of us, etc. So you may be experiencing in your life right now quite a few changes as well. You are very likely going through a lot of contemplation, a lot of things that used to be okay, used to be the status quo, just simply are not anymore. Very likely that if there's something you've been putting off, or a really big change, or let's say a new project, a change in your dietary habits, whatever it is, and you haven't done those yet, chances are you're really getting the urge now, and you may have actually put in place some big changes recently. You may be experiencing a lot of life changes also, relationships and so forth. So this is something we're all going to be seeing more of and continuing to feel the effects as Mother Earth shifts and changes and upgrades herself. And we as living beings on this earth, on this planet, cannot help but to be affected by that in a really positive, amazing, empowering way. Another thing that's going on, and this ties into the life patterns, let's say, that used to be okay but are now no longer. We are each being asked to step up in really big but also very tangible ways, to take action steps and to make a really big difference for ourselves and in our lives. Now, we're going to be continuing, all of us, all of you, to continue to be presented with opportunities to really make that desired shift, that desired change within ourselves, to make it tangible, to make it real, until we have those action steps in practice, until those changes have become a part of our new lives, our new existences. Essentially, we are all shifting and changing into versions 2.0 or 3.0 or 5.0. Wherever you have been in your path before, we are all taking a step up. Now, for me, it's been an interesting one because there's been a pattern that once again presented itself, and I am very excited to say that the way I reacted and how it's affected me has been completely different from how it was in the past. In particular, for me, I'm talking about a pattern that really started, I suppose, when I was quite young. And it's to do with male energy, it's to do with masculinity, and how do I feel about that? How does it present itself in my life, in my world? How do I feel as a person? What is my personal balance of masculine and feminine energies? Do I have a balance? Is it imbalance? From the time I was quite young, these things have featured, and it's really affected a lot of big life decisions I've had, and big experiences and learning lessons I've needed to go through. So recently, I was in another Facebook group, and some of you who are on my personal Facebook page, you may have seen me mention this. And essentially, it had to do with this is a new group. I joined something really deep within me. My intuitive sense was telling me to not only join this group, but to begin, don't just lurk, but actually, post your introduction and so on. Even though on a business level, I couldn't completely understand why. Originally, I had thought of this group because of a workshop I was going to be doing and had been planned over the summer with another woman. Now, that ended up not happening for her and I. Things just shifted and changed. But anyway, so then I got this, really strong intuitive nudging to go ahead and to continue to join groups from that area. And again, to also post my introduction, even though on a logical level, I was thinking, I'm not really sure the reason for this because I don't know if I'm actually going to be doing any more work in that area. So I don't know. But I've learned to trust my intuition. I've learned to trust my instincts, and we all have them. You have them. Our intuitive selves, our inner guidance systems, they are there for a reason. You might call it like a gut feeling. You might call it, again, your internal guidance system, inner GPS. You might call it your conscience. That's another example of how our intuitive self can present itself to us, and how these really deep, amazing parts of us, magical parts of us, you might say, really have evolved and are with us for a reason, and can be very, very powerful helps for us and support systems when we listen. And we learn to trust in them, and when we learn to really follow what our internal selves and our intuition is trying to tell us. So, I have learned to listen when my intuition speaks, even if it doesn't make sense at the time. And I'm continuing to get even better at listening and about listening. And every time I do, it's like a muscle. You can think about it like going to the gym. And the more you use those muscles, the more you, maybe shift or divvy up your routine, you can build those muscles in different ways and interesting ways. And we can continue to grow and continue to evolve and empower ourselves. So it's the same thing with our intuitive senses and our intuitive self. The more you use it, the more it grows, the stronger it becomes, and the more incredible results you will gain as a result. And you'll see it in your everyday life and in your world. So once again, that's what I did. And it was interesting because, I got quite a few people liking my intro, and, I didn't really think much of it. And then yesterday, it was kind of funny because I had a couple people who commented quite nicely on it. And then someone who just commented something, and it was really, quite honestly, I'm going to swear here, really arsey. Really like, what? It's like playground behavior, high school. It was that kind of thing. It was a put down, and it was ridiculous. And, and looking at who these people are or what their profiles say, these are grown-ups, these are adults. And, I know age is relative, but Anyway, so that aside, um, the comments said, because I had put in my intro what my job title is, my work title, what I call what I do, my soul path and soul mission, being an intuitive transformational healer and rapid ascension coach. So this guy, he commented a reply, and he said, that doesn't mean anything, right? And I thought, oh, whatever, dude. You're trying to put me down, but anyway. And see, the thing is, comments like that used to actually genuinely really upset me. I actually have left Facebook groups in the past, in past years, because of comments like that, because it would bring up fears about me, fears about that had to do with my level of self-worth and self-esteem. And I would take things really personally, even when on a logical basis now, I understand I didn't need to be doing that, but that's where I was at. Those were the spaces I was in at the time. I still hadn't dealt with quite yet various fears, worries, and so forth that were attached to my level of self-esteem. And quite honestly, there were, when I heard those types of comments in the past, or when I read them, I should say, it really triggered, and this is called, what's called an emotional trigger, which is part of what we also look at, and I help my clients with, is we look at what are your emotional triggers. So when you're in these situations, using my example, let's say you're me, and let's say someone says something or you read something and it really upsets you, even though on a logical level, as a grown-up, etc., or whatever age you are, you can say to yourself, and you can really think to yourself, is that worth getting upset over? No, not really. And yet that upset feeling comes up, and it's almost like you can't help yourself. And you know that is what's called an emotional trigger. And those emotional triggers are there to help each of us, to help us to learn, to help us to figure out what belongs to us now and in our life, and where we want to go, who we want to be going forward, and what actually is an old record, an old story that we are continuing to play for ourselves and continuing to use as an example for us, saying, this is how I define myself. This is what the kind of person I am. I could have said, when I got that comment yesterday, I could have repeated that old pattern, that old story. I could have said to myself, oh, this is really, really upsetting. I am the kind of person, obviously maybe not consciously saying all this, but on an unconscious, deep conscious level, subconscious, I could have continued to say to myself, I'm the type of person that gets really upset by these comments. My self-esteem is not healed and has not released enough trauma in order to be able to deal with these things in a conscious way, and with my confidence level raised enough to see and to be able to say to myself, that isn't worth getting upset over. And actually, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. I could have repeated the old story of, this deeply hurts me, this deeply wounds me, and therefore I need to leave this group altogether. Right? But that's not what happened. And why that didn't happen is because I have gone through my own healing journey, just as you all do, and as I encourage you to do every day, and a part of what these videos are for, and Hot Tip Tuesday is for also. And I am so grateful to be where I am in the world, and to be who I am right now also. And to know that I don't need to take these on as myself, and because it wasn't only this one guy who made the comment, there was another gentleman who decided to comment, and they were both just being jerks, and for no reason, without even knowing me as a person. And that's another thing that can happen sometimes, is that the more we shine our light and the more we are uniquely ourselves, sometimes people do get threatened by that. Sometimes it upsets others, and we really don't need to let it. We really, really don't. But we have to be able to get to that point. We have to be able to have healed enough and released enough of the old stories, the old energies, the old emotions that we may be carrying, uh, to be able to step into that different space and to be able to speak with confidence and with just, an absolute knowing of ourselves and who we are in the world and what we have to offer as well. Hey, so that was a little bit of an interruption. You may have heard poor Charlie Bear. I'm the youngest one. He woke up again. My friend, she's just out on a phone call, and she and I are helping to put him asleep. He's got chicken pox. He's only 1.5, so poor little man. We put lavender essential oil on him to help ease some of the itching, and it was so cute. He looked like he just had the most amazing massage. He looked completely zen. And I'm sure the smell and the feel of the oil helped a lot too. But yeah, he looked like he was in some sort of like health spa and just gotten like the best massage of his life. So anyway, I was just putting him back to sleep. So where was I? So emotional triggers really can make a big difference for us. Once we learn to recognize what are our own, and once we realize that we don't need to let these triggers stop us from standing in our truth, from sitting and standing in our light, and from shining our light and realizing that who we are, who you are at your core, we are all beautiful. You are beautiful. You are amazing in every way, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Nothing. All there is, and maybe, and there certainly has been the case for me, are energies, emotions, old stories, old patterns that we've picked up, that you may have picked up, and you may be carrying, that you really don't need to anymore. And in a lot of cases, once again, don't reflect the person you are now, the energy that is sitting within you and is actually just waiting for you to open the door. Whether that energy is of confidence, greater self-esteem, the energy of financial success, of business success, maybe public speaking success, maybe relationship success, whatever it is. These incredible energies that are then manifested into physical, tangible results are just waiting for each of us to open the door to them. And, they're waiting for you as well. And in order to be able to welcome these things in so that they can become a greater, more amazing, incredible part of your world and your life, is to release the things that are getting in the way and stopping you from being able to welcome in this incredible abundance, happiness, joy, freedom, excitement, all of it. And that's where receiving support comes in. That's where receiving healing comes in. And again, I have definitely been there in my own life, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, in at all, actually, with business, with all the travels I've been doing, etc. I wouldn't be the person I am if I hadn't received support and help along the way. And, we all need that. You may need that. And, and there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all, ever. Whether it's from me or, anyone else, the universe is always there, ready and waiting to have us take its hand. And, so I really encourage you to look at what spaces and places in your world and in your life, in your business dreams, whatever it is. What may be an old story that you're repeating? What may be an emotional trigger that you haven't yet dealt with, that hasn't been able to be healed? And does it relate to this life or any other? A lot of the work that I do is to help people to heal at a very, very deep core soul level. We literally talk to your soul, talk to the parts of you that are holding on to these old stories, old traumas, old fears, old worries. And whether, it's related to something that happened for you in this lifetime or any other lifetime. And it's amazingly empowering once we're able to do that. And to go back again to the example I gave earlier for myself, because of the healing I've received, because of where I am in my life and in my energetic space, I was able to realize that these comments from those guys in the Facebook group yesterday are not about me. They're really not about me at all. Things like that hardly ever are, to be honest. Um, Oftentimes, there's something about you or something about your energy that threatens them, maybe, or makes them feel insecure, inferior, maybe reminds them of a space or place that they haven't quite yet dealt with. Maybe there's a fear of change, fear of the unknown. Um, if they hadn't heard of the type of work that I do, maybe they have some ideas about what alternative healing is, etc. That make them think, oh, it's not worth taking seriously. Well, a lot of those things come in. And when we shine our light, when we share who we are in a really real, tangible level, sometimes those parts of the other people can, again, feel threatened, because a lot of it does go down to and come back to the fear of the unknown and the unfamiliar. So it's hardly ever about you as a person, really. And that's another part of the gift of all of this. There's this really great book, if you haven't read it yet, called The Four Agreements by a man named Don Miguel Ruiz. And when I was 19, I actually was trained and I did a Toltec shamanism apprenticeship, a year-long one, with this woman named Heather Ash. Heather Ash, Amara is her last name. She actually studied directly with Don Miguel Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz, again, the author of this book. And he has this handed down in his family through his grandmother's line. He's a native Mexican Toltec shaman. So his book, The Four Agreements, is brilliant, and it's four agreements that go in line with Toltec shamanism, a spiritual way of looking at the world and feeling about the world, but also really grounding this stuff into our daily, everyday reality. Because on a lot of levels, it's all well and good us talking about this stuff in this spiritual sphere, and that is important. We need to be able to. But if we're not grounding these things in our everyday reality, and if we're not seeing how this spiritual beliefs and ways of looking at the world in our own healing, if we're not realizing how all of this stuff can help us in our everyday tangible world, I really feel like it's missing a beat. It really is missing a beat. And, we've all incarnated on this planet, in this world, and at this time for a reason, for a specific reason. We are each here with specific gifts, specific, unique, incredible lights to shine, gifts to share. And we're all here for a reason at this time. Mother Earth needs us. We need each other as well. We're all here to learn. We're all here to grow. And the more we can realize that, the more we can allow ourselves to heal what we need to heal and release the things we don't need to carry, so that we can step into our light, so that we can be a help to one another, the better for all of us, for our world, for our planet. We have reminders all around us of how much Mother Earth is speaking to us, and how much she needs us, and how much our communities, we need each other. And the more that time goes on, we're going to continue to see examples of that. Things like, I dare say hurricanes, things like community unrest, government conflict, whatever it is. Because part of what's happening is that everything that is not healed yet and not yet resolved is waiting for us to heal it, to look at it, to acknowledge what is happening in our world and on our planet. Now, the example I gave to you about the comments I received yesterday, and really being able to look at our emotional triggers and heal the parts that need to be healed so that we can step into our greater truth and our greater confidence, that we are individual, incredible, empowered parts. We are a reflection of what is going on in the greater world around us. We are part of an incredible macrocosm. Your individual body, your emotions, our emotions, the energies we each carry, that is a microcosm. Because we are part of this incredible collective consciousness universe, everything we are going through internally will be and is reflected in the world around us, and vice versa. Everything that's going on in the world around us will be and can be a reflection of what is being held and carried within us and what we still need to heal and look at. Whether it's individually or as a community, as a city, as a country, as the world. If there's anything that is unresolved, it will come up. And again, this also ties into what I shared earlier at the very beginning of this, that we are going through another incredible shift of energies and change, and Mother Earth is leading the way of planetary shift and change in alignment and energy levels. And just as life in the universe will continue to give each of us it will continue to give you opportunities to heal things if you haven't yet. All of these shifts in energies and so forth are also giving us, as a greater collective consciousness whole, the opportunity to heal things that are unresolved, that haven't been addressed yet, that haven't been looked at, that haven't come to a conclusion, another way to put it, or a tying up of loose ends that will best benefit and serve the highest good of all. Until we reach that point, until we as a collective consciousness whole have figured out what we need to figure out, until we've been able to heal, again, collectively as well as individually, whatever it is we need to heal, we will continue to be presented with opportunities to do just that. And that's what's happening in the world right now. And all of these planetary shifts and the changes going on, these are providing gateways and incredible surges, incredible portals to help and aid our healing and to speed it even more greatly, and speed it in a way that is gentle, that fits for us, and will best help each of us, again, individually as well as a collective whole. So for you, I really encourage you to think about all of these things and to really be able to start to look at and apply some of this to your own life. Are there any spaces for your world that are feeling incomplete, that haven't quite yet been healed? Are there any issues, any repeating patterns that you haven't really allowed yourself to look at? Is there anything deep within? And chances are, if you're watching this, if you've made it through, you will have already begun to think of areas and spaces in your life, in your world, business, relationships, and so on, that really could do with healing, that haven't reached their conclusion point yet, that state of completion and healing that you would like to have, and that your soul knows is possible for you. So I encourage you to look at those and, just allow yourself this space and this time to know that it is okay to look at these things as well. The universe is there to help each of us. It's there to help you. And Mother Earth is there to help you too. She is moving incredibly, beautifully, in such an empowered way. And she is there holding your hand also, providing these portals, providing these doorways, these incredible doorways for each of us. All right, I hope this has given you some beautiful food for thought, and I'm thinking of each and every one of you. Sending you all the best, so much love, and I wish you a very happy Sunday wherever you are in the world. Take care, everyone. Bye.